All right, so get ready because today we're going deep, really deep into Beyonce's Formation music video.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got a YouTube video essay that's it. It seems like it's kind of targeted towards students.
Oh, okay.
We've also got some notes on feminist and post-colonial theory, and
Oh,
even an academic paper all about, all about this one video, this iconic video.
wow.
And we're going to try to break it all down for you from those like really striking visuals
Right.
to those really complex messages about race and gender and power.
Yeah, it's really amazing how much this one music video, right, has just sparked debate and discussion, for years.
Oh, yeah.
And I think by looking at all of these sources together, I think we can get a much deeper understanding of what makes this video so powerful.
For sure. For sure. And right from the start, there's this moment that always just grabs my attention, sets the tone for the whole thing.
Okay.
Do you remember that audio clip at the very beginning featuring the voice of Messi Maya?
Oh, of course, Messi Maya. Yeah, he was this, incredibly charismatic YouTube personality.
Yeah.
Really known for kind of pushing boundaries with his his videos.
Yep.
But tragically, he was killed back in 2010.
Right.
And Beyonce using that sample of his voice in Formation really sparked a whole lot of debate.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, our sources actually point out that she was sued over it.
Wow.
And some people argue that it's this really powerful way of honoring Messi Maya
Right.
and drawing attention to the issue of violence against Black communities.
Right.
But others, they see it as kind of exploiting his image without permission.
Yeah.
It's a really, really complex situation. Right?
Yeah, it is. And it immediately, from the first moments of the video, raises this question of intent and impact.
Right.
Like, what did Beyonce intend? Did she intend this as a tribute, or was it more about, just kind of the shock value?
Right.
And then regardless of her intent, how did audiences actually receive it?
Yeah.
Does knowing about this controversy now change how we view the video?
Right.
Like, it just adds another layer to the whole experience.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And that complexity, it just kind of continues as the video unfolds, especially when you look at the visuals.
Oh, for sure.
There's so much symbolism packed into like literally every single shot.
It's truly like a visual feast.
Yeah.
But it's not just about pretty pictures, right? It's about using those images to make these really powerful statements.
Right, right.
And one that comes to mind is that scene with the sinking police car.
Oh, chills every time.
Right. I mean, it's just so haunting.
Yeah.
And it just immediately brings to mind, the devastation of Hurricane Katrina, and how that disaster really disproportionately affected Black communities.
Yeah.
It's really this visual reminder of systemic inequalities and the ways in which those inequalities really play out in real life.
Right. And then you've got these really striking images of Beyonce and her dancers in those antebellum dresses,
Right.
posing in front of that grand Southern mansion.
Yeah, I mean that's a very direct reference to the history of slavery in America.
Yeah.
But she's not just referencing the past; she's also kind of subverting it.
Right.
By placing herself, a Black woman in this position of power, within that space, she's really challenging those traditional power dynamics.
Yeah.
And almost like reclaiming that history.
And we can't forget that "Stop Shooting" is graffiti,
Right.
which is like impossible to ignore.
Yeah, I mean that's just such a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle against police brutality.
Yeah.
And the Black Lives Matter movement. It's just she's not shying away from these difficult conversations. She's using her platform to bring them right to the forefront.
It's so interesting how she kind of weaves together these historical references with these very contemporary images of Black culture. Like, you've got the hairstyles, the
Yeah.
fashion, the music, the food, it's all there.
Yeah. It's like she's creating this vibrant tapestry of Black identity, showcasing both the beauty and the struggles.
Yeah.
It's about, celebrating that richness of Black culture while also acknowledging the systemic forces that have, really shaped it.
And speaking of celebrating Black identity, there's that line where she sings, "I like my baby hair with baby hair and afros.
Right.
I like my Negro nose with Jackson 5 nostrils."
What a powerful statement.
Yeah.
She's directly addressing those Eurocentric beauty standards that have historically really marginalized Black features, you know, and it's about self-love. It's about embracing one's natural beauty, and it's especially powerful for, you know, young Black viewers
Right.
who may be grappling with, you know, those same insecurities.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's all kind of part of this larger theme of reclaiming power, right?
Right.
Challenging dominant narratives.
And notice how she plays with those power dynamics throughout the video, right? You see her in these really powerful, dominant poses, almost like, you know,
Yeah.
like a queen surveying her domain.
Yeah.
But then she'll switch it up, you know, and she'll give you these more sensual, even kind of sexualized images.
Right, which of course leads us to the question of Beyonce's persona in this video,
Okay.
and how that kind of relates to the feminist interpretations that we have in our sources.
Right.
You know, because she's giving us this really multifaceted image, right? She's powerful, she's glamorous, she's defiant,
Yeah.
and even, you know, even a little bit provocative.
Right. It's such a complex representation, you know.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you know, you could see it as really empowering, you know.
Yeah.
A woman owning her sexuality and using it, you know, as a tool. But then on the other hand, you know, you have critiques, you know, like bell hooks, who argue that this kind of sexualized imagery ultimately plays into the male gaze.
Right.
And doesn't actually challenge, you know, the underlying power structures.
Yeah, and Hooks actually famously called Beyonce an anti-feminist terrorist,
Wow.
which is a pretty strong statement.
Yeah.
But you know, she felt that Beyonce was more focused on her own individual success, you know, and financial gain, rather than dismantling patriarchal systems.
Yeah, and it's a valid critique, but I think it's important to remember that there are other feminist perspectives to consider as well.
Right.
You know, our notes mention Lisbeth Van Zunen,
Right.
who argues that women should have the agency to choose how they express their femininity and power, you know, and that we shouldn't judge or limit those expressions.
Right.
So it's not a simple, you know, black and white issue.
Right. Yeah, it's about acknowledging the complexities and recognizing that there are multiple
Right.
and often conflicting interpretations.
Exactly. And that's what makes, you know, this video so fascinating to analyze.
Right.
It sparks these important conversations and forces us to really grapple with those nuances.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where Stuart Hall's theories of encoding and decoding kind of come into play, right?
Right.
So formation is, you know, it's clearly encoded with these messages about Black empowerment,
Right.
challenging the status quo, but how each viewer actually decodes those messages really depends on their own background
Right.
and experiences, you know?
So you could have someone, right, who watches the video and sees it as this like really powerful call for social justice.
Right.
You know, that they fully embrace Beyonce's like intended message.
Right.
And that's what Hall would call a preferred reading.
Exactly. But then you might have someone, you know, who connects with certain aspects of the video, like the celebration of Black culture,
Yeah.
but maybe feels a little bit uncomfortable with the more overtly political messages.
Yeah.
Right. So they might kind of negotiate with that intended meaning, right?
Yeah.
Taking some parts and leaving others. And that's what he would call a negotiated reading.
Yeah, and then you have those who might like completely reject the intended message, right?
Yeah.
Viewing it as like divisive or even like offensive.
Yeah.
And that would be an oppositional reading.
Exactly, right. And thinking about those different readings, I think, really helps us understand why this video has generated so much debate and discussion.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about what Beyonce is saying. It's
Yeah.
also about how different audiences are interpreting her message.
And we can't really talk about formation without acknowledging the historical context of its release. You know, it came out in 2016,
Right.
just a few years after the Black Lives Matter movement really gained, you know, significant momentum.
Yeah, following the killings of, you know, Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown.
Right.
Absolutely. And then she performed Formation during the Super Bowl halftime show,
Right.
which was a huge platform for her message, right? And that performance, I mean, with the Black Panther inspired imagery,
Right.
and the powerful choreography, I mean, it really amplified that conversation about race and police brutality in America.
It was definitely a statement, and some critics, you know, they argued that it was more about generating publicity and controversy than than about genuine activism.
Right, which brings us back to that question of intent versus impact, right?
Right.
Was this just a calculated marketing move?
Yeah.
Or was it a sincere expression of solidarity?
Yeah.
It's something that I think each viewer has to grapple with for themselves.
For me, one of the most striking things about Formation is just how it weaves together these social and political messages with this like unapologetic celebration of Black culture. It's not just about, addressing the issues. It's also about like joy and pride and resilience.
Totally. And there are so many moments in the video where you see that joy and resilience, on full display.
Yeah.
Like the scene where they're all dancing in that parking lot.
Right. Yeah.
With Big Freedia kind of leading the charge. I mean, it's infectious, that energy.
And I love that she included Big Freedia, who's a gay bounce artist from New Orleans.
Right.
It's a subtle but like really powerful way of highlighting diversity within the Black community.
Yeah.
And challenging like those traditional notions of gender and sexuality.
So it's about embracing all those facets of Black identity, right?
Yeah.
And then you have those visual references to, Southern Black culture, right?
Yeah.
The hot sauce, the collard greens, the hairstyles, the fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a love letter to her heritage.
There's so much symbolism in the video too, like the repeated use of that X symbol, which is a clear reference to Malcolm X,
right?
And his fight for Black liberation.
And those scenes in the antebellum mansion, I mean, those are so powerful.
Oh yeah.
It's like she's reclaiming that space.
Yeah.
Turning it from a symbol of oppression into a symbol of Black power and resilience.
Right. Yeah. Imagine being like a young Black girl watching this video and seeing Beyonce, this powerful Black woman just like owning that space.
Yeah.
It's like a strong statement about, reclaiming history,
right,
shaping your own narrative.
And those scenes are juxtaposed with these images of Black women in contemporary settings, right?
Yeah.
Further emphasizing that this is about progress, this is about evolution.
Right.
Black women are not defined by their past, they are creating their own future.
And there's such a strong sense of community and sisterhood throughout this video. You see these women supporting each other, dancing together.
Yeah.
Creating this like really powerful image of collective strength.
Yeah, it's this beautiful representation of solidarity and resilience.
Right.
And then there's that final scene, the one that always gives me like goosebumps.
Oh yeah.
That young boy dancing in front of that line of police officers.
That scene's so powerful, like so layered with meaning.
You have this young Black boy full of life, full of energy, expressing himself freely in the face of authority. And the police officers are completely still, almost like statues, which creates this incredibly like unsettling tension.
Right.
It's a brilliant commentary on the Black Lives Matter movement, and the ongoing fight for justice and equality.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you question who truly holds the power in that situation.
Right.
And then the graffiti on the wall behind him, "Stop shooting us," serves as this stark reminder of the very real danger that Black people face every day.
It's a gut punch, that image.
Yeah.
But there's also this sense of hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the boy's like defiant joy.
Yeah.
He's not backing down.
He's not afraid to express himself.
Yeah, it's a powerful image of resistance and resilience.
Right, and it really, I think, encapsulates the complexities of the entire video, right? Race, power, resistance, and the fight for a better future.
I feel like we've covered so much ground already.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the historical context, the symbolism, the feminist interpretations,
right,
different ways that people might, read the video.
Yeah, it's amazing how much there is to unpack, in just one music video.
Yeah, and we really have only just like scratched the surface here.
Mm-hmm.
Formation really is like this masterpiece of visual storytelling. I mean, it's so much more than just a music video, right?
Yeah.
It's like this cultural phenomenon that like sparked a national conversation.
And that's what's so remarkable about Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
She manages to blend these really big, important ideas.
Yeah.
About race and gender and politics with this incredible like artistic vision. It's both thought-provoking and entertaining, and it's reached this like massive audience.
Yeah. And our academic source actually raises this really interesting question about that.
Okay.
They ask whether formation is ultimately about promoting a political agenda, or if it's simply a brilliant like marketing strategy.
Right.
Is this genuine activism?
Yeah.
Or is this about, generating publicity and making money?
That's a really valid question.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that even art with a powerful message, still exists within a capitalist system.
Right.
Right. And Beyonce is incredibly savvy, right? And there's no denying that the timing of the release right before her Super Bowl performance,
Right.
and the controversial imagery, I mean, it all contributed to the video's success.
Right. It definitely got people talking. And like we discussed earlier,
Yeah.
depending on your own background and experiences, you might interpret the video in very, very different ways.
Exactly. Remember Stuart Hall's theory of encoding and decoding.
Right.
Right. So Beyonce and her team, they clearly had a specific message in mind when they created Formation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that everyone who watches it will receive that message in the same way.
Right. So you could have someone who sees it as this really powerful call for social justice, while someone else might focus more on, the celebration of Black culture.
Yeah.
And yet another person might just dismiss it as a publicity stunt.
And all of those readings are valid. Right.
Yeah.
There's no single correct way to interpret Formation. And I think that ambiguity, that open-endedness is part of what makes it such a rich and an enduring piece of art.
Yeah. It's a work that keeps on giving.
Oh, yeah.
You can watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
And still discover new layers of meaning.
Absolutely.
And every time I watch it, I'm struck by how Beyonce just manages to balance all of these like seemingly contradictory elements.
Right.
The political and the personal, the commercial and the artistic,
She doesn't shy away from those contradictions.
Yeah.
And I think that's what resonates with people. It feels authentic, even amidst all the spectacle.
Yeah, for me, I think one of the biggest takeaways from this whole deep dive is just the power of art to spark conversations and challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Even if we don't all agree on the message, Formation forces us to confront these really important issues and to think critically about the world around us.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that art can be a catalyst for social change.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't, provide all the answers.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Formation, I mean, we've seen how this one music video can just like spark endless conversations about race, gender, power, representation, and the very nature of art itself.
It's a video that stays with you long after you've watched it,
Yeah.
kind of leaving you with more questions than answers. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It encourages us to keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.
And that's exactly what we hope you'll do. So go back and watch the video again.
Yeah.
Revisit those sources.
Absolutely.
And see what new insights you uncover. I mean, we've just scratched the surface here.
Right.
Until next time, happy diving.
Yeah.